What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Kales.
Just in case you forgot, my name is Miguel Perez.
We're back here for episode 11, still at Airplay Studio with the sound engineer Frank, really out here making this audio as beautiful as we can get it.
Yes, Frank has been doing a wonderful job for us, and just in case you forgot again, he is, the studio is professional, so if you're wanting to make a CD, not a tape, or a song, record a song, this guy's the man that can make it happen. Also, if you're interested in starting your own podcast, we can help with that as well. Kelton here is at your service. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited about this week, Kelton. We're going to continue on what we talked about last week.
Yes, sir, and that was a great conversation. There's just so much more to add to it and so much good material there, and it's great to stuff.
Yeah, discussion. You know what? We didn't even really gonna aim toward talking about that. We just went in that direction, and I kind of want to elaborate a little bit more.
And the great part about it is that I think we really got it into to embracing the single life, but people don't realize how much being a parent and being single is important, and being there for your kids. That aspect of the single life is really important, because if we're going to focus on a relationship, why not focus on our children's?
Exactly, because, if you're going to get in a relationship, every person has a childhood, and everybody has some type of drama tied up to them, you know what I'm saying? But when things happen in our lives, one or two things are going to happen. I'll tell you this a little earlier. Situation happen in your life is going to make you two things: bitter or better.
Absolutely.
It's actually a choice. You shared a little bit of what happened in your life earlier, but you chose to make your life better as a result rather than bitter.
Absolutely.
And I would say you'd never struggle with it, but
Oh, it was hard. It 100% is, but the outcome and what I'm trying to accomplish is more important than the struggle itself of just sitting there and wailing in my own self-sappiness, so to speak.
Exactly. Again, situation make you better and better. I have trouble with my father, you know what I'm saying? He grew up with us so strict and such a disciplinary and never really talked to us and had that connection with us. Mm-hmm. And I grew up scared. If he showed up, like, boom, Hispanics are like, boom, we get my dad's here. All right, let's go hide. That's the way it was. But again, it make you better and better. It made me better because I said to myself, I never, ever want my kids to be afraid of me. I don't want to ever make it feel that way about me, their father. Yeah. So the relationship I have with my kids was way better than that, because I chose to make me better rather than bitter.
And your kids benefited so much more from that than you even did.
Exactly.
In reality.
And and I could still be a disciplinarian, and I was, but I balanced it out. You know what I'm saying? I loved them, but I couldn't hit them.
It's like I watched this show. It was a little snippet of a show on Facebook. I don't know, Judge Joe Brown, and he had this guy that was, this kid was running away from, the street life, the gang life, and he confided, so to speak, in his uncle, and wanted to really, get away from that environment, because it was very, very violent. It was very problematic for him. He couldn't grow. So he confided in his uncle, and he started to be with his uncle. And his uncle, they ended up going to court because his uncle kicked him out, created all these problems. And, I don't know the full details, but, the thing that judge said that really stuck to me is like, this man has gone through all this stuff and confided in you and came to you and wanted to escape this violent situation. And I get tough love, but there's nothing but toughness here.
Yeah.
And you have to have a great balance between those. And I don't know. That really resonated with me in a really heartfelt way. Because, you can be tough. You can be hard on your kids and make sure that they grow the right direction, but you still have to show love. You still have to show that affection that they need and that they really crave.
Yeah, and you have to. And so I love my kids, but you know where we struggle? It's not that people don't struggle with the love in their kids. It's the expression of love that people struggle with. You know what I'm saying? And my dad, I have no doubt in my mind that my dad loves me. I know that. There was a couple of years back, I took off to California to work, and I have no family over there. I had no friends over there. I just took a job over there, and I was gone for about 2 years. And my sister called me one day, and she's like, hey, Dad wants to go see you. And I'm like, why? And she's
Oh,
like,
crap.
he just wants to see you. He's like, I'll go over there. I'll get a ticket, and I just want to see him. And I was like, no, he can't come over here. I got nowhere for him to stay. I live in a little, I rented a room down there. Cost of living is so terrible. And she was like, he just said he don't care. He'll get a room. I was like, no, I don't want him to come. He goes, no, he's adamant. He wants to go, which really threw me off because that's not the relationship I felt that my dad had with me.
Yeah.
But he just felt he needed to come see me, and I was moved. I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll go over there. Just be good." But I was really like beside myself that he was just like, "I'm gonna go see my son," because he
Yeah.
never, like I said, that's what I realized. I don't have no doubt they love me, but he struggled with the expression of love, and people struggle with that.
And that's
tremendously.
surprising. That created a situation inside of you where you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is a new feeling. This
Yeah.
is something that I'm not
Exactly.
used to feeling or hearing the expression of. And that's important that does get expressed. You're absolutely right.
And okay, let's take this to relationship wise. Again, it helped me with my children, you know what I'm saying? Growing up. And how does all this entangle with relationships? Okay, for me, I'm single, by no means, Kelton, am I trying to bash women at all. That's not my intention. I'm just trying to give
I understand.
life nuggets to help people out when they're searching to get into a relationship.
And let's reiterate that we really don't have any sort of anger or frustration towards women.
I love women.
We absolutely do adore and love women. It's just sometimes we have to express ourselves, and this world that we live in is not used to that.
Yeah,
they
no,
think
no,
of it as, oh well, you feel this way, so you must be against, and it's never been that. We just want you to understand us like we want to understand you.
Yeah, and again, I more than welcome any woman that wants to come on, or any young lady wants to come on and be a part of this podcast. And man, I'd love to, go back and forth with you. You know what I'm saying? Not challenge you, not make you angry, not fight. I'm not into that.
Let's
We'll discuss
conversate.
stuff. Yeah,
Let's
love
express
that.
what we need to express, get across the point, and let's really have a genuine conversation that can really bring us together on that level, because that's important. The communication is so important, and people fail to realize that. But
Yeah, and you gotta again, when it comes to getting in a relationship, a person's background tells you a lot about a person. So I always talk about
Absolutely.
6 months. We've talked about that 6 months dating somebody, and part of that 6 months is getting to know their family, and getting to know their family tells you a lot about that individual. They might be great, but when you get involved with somebody, you're not just getting involved with that person. You're getting involved with that person and their family. Correct, Frank?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's them and their family. I'm not talking about a date. This is beyond date. Don't talk about a relationship. You're not just like, well, I married you. I didn't marry your family. Lie. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
no, that
you
definitely
married
is a
them
lie.
and you married their family. You know what I'm saying? So getting to know them, in my eyes, that's one of the main things I do. I want to know how your family acts, how they think, how they see things financially. I see a family and I think
their
to myself,
culture is
this-
really important
Yeah,
as
culture.
well.
These people are
Knowing,
ghetto.
knowing their
I don't want to be a
relationship
part
with,
of this.
Yeah, knowing their relationship. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Go ahead.
mean to
No,
interrupt.
you're good.
Knowing their relationship with either religion and with their friends and their family, and seeing how that works will play a big role in understanding how they're going to treat you.
Exactly.
You're going to see the other side of who they are that you really won't find out within that first 6 months. Honestly, because once, like how you said, you and your wife was doing amazing, y'all were doing great, and then once y'all were married, there was a lot of headbutting, because it was that moment of like, okay, now this is secure, this is settled, so now we're really gonna have to make this happen, and the real side of that came out.
And I'm like, this is a question that was happening in my mind. Where's this coming from?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Where's this coming from? And at the moment, I didn't have the answer. It wasn't until years later as I grew, which, man, I wish somebody would have took the time to tell me that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, you married their family, not just them. And I would have learned a lot. But, years later, I realized, oh, okay.
And
Now I know where that came from.
And you could be told that all you want to, but until you experience it and actually pay attention to that thing, it's just like pay attention to red flags. Understanding red flags in yourself, you can understand red flags in other people at the same time. So it's more about being able to really encomb yourself and understanding of who that person is, as well as knowing who you are yourself. And you can make a decision that way. But sitting there going back and forth and not knowing who you are, you're never going to learn who that person is either.
I guess you can't force feed this, but whoever wants to eat, they can eat.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I encourage people to do is because I've met some wonderful women out there, wonderful. The time that I could take this home to mama, but
Mm-hmm.
meeting their family, and I was like, no, no, I just can't do it because. I mean, what they think affects them. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? They're financially, for example, I was doing real good a couple years back, making great money. My mom, my kids, they're like that. And my brother-in-law's girlfriend brought her mother over, and she's like, she's noticed we have 3 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, why don't you file for food stamps? And I was like, well, no, I do good. I make enough money. She goes, yeah, but just tell them you don't, and you could get like $1,800 of food stamps. You got 3 kids, and I was like, but I don't need that. Yeah, but do it anyway. It'll help
And
you get the.
that's not only gonna create a problem with you financially, because if they find out you're in
Yeah.
trouble, like that's bad advice.
It is, but the thing is their mentality.
horrible.
That's what I didn't like. I didn't like the mentality. To me, it's like this is a ghetto mentality. Why would you even approach me with this?
Yeah.
Because that's how they roll, and that's how they think, and that's how they carry themselves. I don't want that. You know, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of that.
I got something
All right, go ahead.
to add to that.
All right.
So I had a. I'm glad you brought that up because it really struck a memory of mine. It really did. So I have my son's mom. She when we first were together, she had her mother in her ear like crazy, and man, I can tell you right now, that was the worst situation in the world because, I get going to your parents and asking questions and really trying to learn. And at the time period that I was 21, she was 23 or 24, I can't remember. That was a detrimental time to really learn and experience life. And now we have a kid. It was a changing situation for her. And so, trying to get outside advice is great. But her mother was in her ear so long. And I told her, I was like, you need to quit doing that. You need to quit listening to her. She is not giving you good advice. And she's not giving you the advice that you really, truly need. She's just telling you what to do to put yourself and be selfish. Put yourself in a good situation and be selfish. Not work as a team and not work as that because that's what she's used to. That's what your mother's used to. And at the time, I wasn't old enough or wise enough to understand what we're talking about right now and its importance. But it was one of those situations that helped me learn that. And man, it came to a point where she was listening to her mom so much that I'm like, am I dating you or am I dating your mother? Like, what is going on in this situation? And she started to finally realize probably the last 2 years that, her mother is a great woman, but she just wants everything her way. And that's not the way that a relationship works. There is compromise, not just following orders.
Yeah, and pretty much exactly that was happening to the point that this is early in our marriage that I told my wife, you know what, you're right. You could be in charge. You run this show, but I'm out.
Yeah.
So, how about?
That's a direction to go. Hey,
and they were
you know what? You're good. Go ahead, have that, but I'm not involved.
Yeah, it's like, because I was, to me, I was like, I'm a man's man, and I just can't see myself being the one in the passenger seat. And I was like, you know what? I'd rather live divorced than to live like this,
Absolutely.
And she came to realize, like, man, I'm fixing to lose my husband just because I can't, just let him lead. And that's it. Not be over aggressive, no más bichito on a tren type old school Mexican. No.
It's teamwork, though. And that's what a lot of people don't, they have to realize. Like, in a relationship, it's teamwork. And that's why, being single, you need to embrace that lifestyle of being single because then you can learn how to kind of work more as a team because if you understand yourself, you understand other people. And that's one thing that I've learned in my expression. That's why I love being single. I start seeing things and I'm like, hey, okay, I see. Okay, now I'm learning a lot more instead of focusing on the wrong things. Like my relationship with my children, my relationship with my mother, my relationship with my father. Don't get me wrong, beforehand, I didn't have a great relationship with these people. My mom, I did to an extent. It was just non-expressive. And my dad, he was one of those people that doesn't express emotions. And it doesn't matter to who it is, but he doesn't express emotions. And it took me a while to realize why he did that because I started realizing inside of me, I see why I do things. And I'm like, oh, that's why he does those things. So it made me actually grow as a person and then also be able to see my own background as a problem. Okay, I do this. My dad does this. My mom does this. Okay, I see why. Let's change this for the better. Let's make sure that I become a better person from seeing these things, from actually gaining this knowledge, and let's put it to use and actually grow as a person.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I was grateful for, because I mean, now I'm trying to create great relationships with my family. You know, I'm trying to really grow as a person, and dude, I feel so much better.
Yeah,
I really do.
I always push compatibility. That's, to me, is one of the main keys in getting in a relationship with someone. Are you compatible? But not only are you compatible to the person you want to get in a relationship with, are you compatible to their family as well? Because if you're not compatible to them, chances are you're going to have a problem with her or him, vice versa.
And just before we get into that, just remember, we do have an episode that we got into the compatibility thing. So if y'all need to check that out, man, we got a lot of great knowledge in there.
Okay, so let me give an example. Okay, last night my sister's birthday party was 55 years old, and my family's big into wrestling. I mean, we were just big into wrestling. We had this big old wrestling theme. We had music. We did.
You were showing me that.
Yeah, I was showing the pictures and
awesome.
stuff like that.
Everything.
And her husband's family, you know what I'm saying? They're great people too, and they were part of that party, and they participated, and everybody had a blast. It was fun. They, you gotta get outside of yourself. Yeah, you gotta get outside yourself and act silly, and they had no problem doing it.
Get out that comfort zone.
Yeah, and man, as a whole, her family and our family, you know what I'm saying? His family and my sister. Together, man, we had a wonderful time. It was fun. It was laughing. We did all kinds of crazy stuff. And the key part of that is that their families are compatible. You know what I'm saying?
And
So
they
that's
grew as a family too.
Yeah.
Their relationships not only got closer but stronger, and
Yeah.
that's great.
So
that's fantastic.
Well, when you don't look into the compatible with this person, but also their family, the end result is hey, we have a party, but I don't want your family, I don't want your brother, I want your sister there.
Yeah.
You're saying why? Because they don't know how to act and this and that.
Yeah.
Okay, well then. That's a problem across the board, and it will be bigger problems later on down the line when there's kids involved.
And there is certain situations where I can see where maybe at that point in time, that individual inside the family is acting out right, and not doing what they need to do. But for the most part, if it's a consistency, yeah, there's a problem. But if it's just like, oh well, he acted a fool one day, he got a little drunk.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Everybody has that drunk
Yeah,
uncle.
exactly. It is what it is. Sometimes things do happen, but if it's consistently problematic, yes, absolutely, there needs to be either something addressed or discussed, because if you're not getting along with their family, you're definitely, at the end of the day, you're probably not going to get along with them, because they came from that.
Yeah, and I'll give you another side. There were some other people there that, one of our young ladies, of course, invited some guys that they know and stuff like that. All right, it's 95% family like that.
Yeah.
So one of them kids decided to go to the DJ and ask for some music to be played. And all this crazy rap comes out and does beep, beep, and beep, and beep. And everybody looks up like, who the hell is playing this music? Man, I went to the DJ and I was like, hey, dude, you didn't shut that off. Well, that kid requested it. I said, well, that kid is part of this deal like that. So you had changed that music. And right away, you could tell, because both families were like freaking out. It's like, hey, we don't roll that way. We have our grandparents here, stuff like that. We killed that right away.
They played WAP. That's what it was.
Well, here's the deal. They came to the wrong family. If you can't read this, then you have a problem.
You got to read the environment.
And that's the deal. You have to know who you're getting involved with, not only with the individual, but their family as well. You know
Absolutely. I can definitely agree with that. Yeah, because that's important. To be able to understand the relationship is also important too. Yeah. So knowing your place in that situation is great. And that's why, whenever you're single and you're inviting other people involved in family functions, so to speak, you've got to know whether or not those people are worth bringing into that kind of situation, because man, it's not. If that person is going to create problems, there's no reason for them to be there. If they're just there at the party, then it's not going to be appropriate.
I'm not going to mention no names. So there was somebody at the party that's they're getting involved in a relationship with one of our family members and stuff like that. So again, my family's loud, my family's crazy, obnoxious, fun. Yeah. But we're different,
Right.
But we have a great time. So one of the family members brings somebody for the first time, and they come from a family that's very conservative, very quiet, very I guess you want to say proper. You could use that word, and that person's freaking out all night long. she's like used to this at all. And they're like, man, I don't know. You know, to me, in the back of my mind is like she's thinking.
She thought y'all was going to the ball, not to.
She's like, I don't know if I want to be a part of this. You know what I'm saying? Because we're just so different. But so. You know, the point is when you get into a relationship, you get into a relationship with their family and know that their family is as well compatible to you, not just the person you get in a relationship. Because believe it or not, you get in a relationship with all of them.
Absolutely.
Not just that one individual.
You know, I gotta really.
What do you think, Frank? Am I right or wrong?
That's what I'm saying.
Am I preaching right? I used to say all the time.
Preacher, brother. Yeah, in the healthy family, that's the way it's going to have to work.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll go stretch out and show you how the audio engineer looks at this as well. And you probably shouldn't say this on YouTube, but if you want to know what your lady's going to look like down the road, look to her mother.
Oh,
absolutely.
I didn't think about that.
No, that's true.
I forgot about that point.
That's why I implemented this.
And the father. That one works both ways.
Genes are important.
It is.
What
it
do
is.
you want your kids to have?
Yeah.
Have an open
I mean,
mind.
but see,
use the technology. Grow healthy children. You know.
I hate to say
that would
this.
escape me. But yeah, I know that, but it escaped me to talk about that.
But that's why I brought up the thing with her mom. Like my son's mom, you know, she's her mom was always this outrageous thing, and it's crazy because she ended up having to cut ties. Really? They did, yeah. I mean, to an extent of like where she's like, okay, you know, I'm not gonna tell you you're right, but I see where you're coming from. I mean, it took freaking 5 years to get that to happen, but I'm like, I'm glad that you finally see it. I'm glad that it's going on, that you're starting to see the light, because that's the place of growth. That's seeing it, understanding it, and then growing from it is all important steps to becoming a better person.
Yeah, and that's on the emotional intelligence and all that, but Frank bringing out the physical aspect of that. You know what I'm saying? If I meet a woman, yeah, you know what? That escaped my mind. You automatically want to meet the mother because no, it's true.
I'm gonna say that's a bit controversial.
99.9, she's gonna end up looking like the mother, and that goes with the man as well. However, the son usually ends up looking just like the dad. There's a joke. It's in Spanish, but it's a funny one. It's like
say it in Spanish and
well,
then tell us.
I'm saying it in English. See if I can translate it.
Say it in Spanish and then translate it.
Okay, so son goes to his father and he says, Papi, ¿por qué estás tonto? You know what I'm saying? And the father says, porque sabe, mijo. You know?
Okay, we're not laughing. Let's do the English version.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. Say it in Spanish so people might understand the true definition. And
the father goes up to the son and he said, Bab, why are you talking funny? And the father says, I won't know.
That's actually true. But here's the thing. I'm just going to say this, the fair warning. We're not saying go out and have relations with people because they look good and you want to produce, specifically looking people. But, if you want a D1 athlete, you might have to look for D1 characteristics in your woman and yourself. That's all I got to say.
Can't get no race horses out of mules. That's what they say.
Okay, so already I regret the physical.
I know, that was great.
It was a joke. I was kind of just.
It's not a joke, but it's true. It's true. That's a very
true looking.
God, I hate saying it.
It's true looking at all aspects of it and saying, hey, this is what it is.
It's the same for the guys. If you're dating your girl dating this guy and her dad, hey, he's a trim guy still playing tennis and everything, the prospects are good.
Mm-hmm.
If he's this, guy that forgot all about hygiene, big old pot belly, and, just you can't get him to do anything, he's a hoarder. I mean, well, okay, now let's reassess.
Which sides of the spectrum do you want? Do you want the guy that's a little bit more on the non-cleanly side, or do you want the one that's well prepared and well taken care of?
In other words, take in all the data that you're presented with.
I remember being at a store one time with my ex-wife. We were at a grocery store, and I'm leaning on this, and I'm walking, and she's like, "Man, you got your dad's bod." And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, you got your dad. You walk just like him. You're starting to shape like him too."
Oh, jeez.
Now, number one, my dad's way taller. He's actually taller than Frank. You know what I'm saying? He's a tall man and stuff like that. But his jeans are starting to go thinner and thinner. And I was like, no, I still got my butt. What are you talking about?
Oh, golly.
so she was insinuating that I was going to lose it all. And I was like, what are you talking about? But the point is, you're right. how you are is how majority of the time is how your parents
Yeah.
are. You're 95% of the chance going to take on their physical
Genetics
attributes as well.
goes before everything, and whenever it comes to reproduction.
But you know
I
what?
mean, if you look on a scientific level, in all reality, you have a spectrum of how genes are going to match with each other, and what's going to be a dominant gene and what's going to be a recessive gene. And scientifically speaking, that's how
Right.
it works. So,
Data.
and that works with personality. They've actually figured that out. That not only is it something that's brought upon with how Frank said, that first 3 or 4 years, but also it's a lot more than that. It comes down genetically that you're going to be a certain way. If you're charismatic, there's probably going to be more of a gene receptive thing than just being, your parents were. Because let's be honest, we are like our parents in a lot more ways than what we want to admit to. Because, I mean, me personally, I've been told, you're just like my dad. My aunt says that so many times that I've been like, quit saying that. You know what I mean? Quit saying it. I don't want to hear that because, for a while, I seen that as a negative thing because I wanted to be better. I wanted to progress better. So, man, it's grinded my gears, so to speak. But I mean, we are who we came from. I mean, it just is what it is, and people have to realize that.
And the physical attributes, it's not really an issue because you marry somebody, they're young, hot, both sides, and you get with them, and if you follow order, you grow old with them. And when you grow older, you start losing. You start losing stuff, or you start doubling the size and stuff like that. You don't care because you've been with them so long. You don't even see that. You still see that hot person you got involved with.
Yeah, but you don't get in a relationship for just looks. And if
Now-
you are, that's your problem right there. You shouldn't be in that relationship. You just shouldn't.
Yeah, now here's the aspect. Looks is, to me is not really an issue because you can work with looks. Mm-hmm. But when I see ghetto thinking and just like bitterness and anger issues in the family, and I'm thinking this might be a big part of her, that right there would shut me down.
See, with me, whenever I'm looking at a woman, I want someone that like mentally stimulates me. Mm-hmm. If you can mentally stimulate me, that's already amazing. If you can create questions inside of me, because I love to learn. I'm weird. I have knowledge about the dumbest things in the world.
Okay, well, here's the question.
Let's just be real.
Oh, I got a question for you then. Okay, let's say you meet a woman just like that. She stimulates you mentally, and she can challenge your thinking. She has good ideas. She's like boom, boom, pow. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Intelligent. Everybody likes her. Sharp, reads books and everything like that. But her family is just the opposite. And they're like, you don't need to go to school. Ghetto thinking. Do you think that's going to be a factor? Or should even be a factor? I think it is.
That's kind of situational. I'm going to say it like that because
that's the whole point of this discussion here is the family.
I've met some people that have severed their ties to family and grown as their own individual person. So there are those situations where, regardless of their family background, they made a whole different change. They made a whole different perspective, and they said, you know what, we're going to do better, and I'm going to be better, and I'm getting away from this stuff. Because I've had friends and I've had family that had to get away from ghetto lifestyles, had to step away from that problematic situations, so to speak, because they wanted to become better, and they are nothing like their family. They're go-getters. They're after it. Versus their families are, they're just comfortable as long as they're alive and fed. And I've seen it just grow. I mean, you said it earlier. You can either get bitter or better, and some of those people get comfortable, or they go after it. It's either one of those two. So I've seen people change, and I can say that, genuinely speaking, that could be a good thing. It could be, but always take into consideration. Yes, I can take in consideration their background and say, okay, your family's a little like this, so I'm going to have to pay attention. I'm going to have to be prepared for this situation, but I can give it a chance.
To me, that's just a headache you're inviting sometimes. You know what I'm saying? When I was 17, Frank, at one time. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
And I was
50
actually
years ago?
I was actually living here in Amarillo, and I was working at IBP. Okay, and I met a beautiful girl there, young girl. She was Navajo, named Jody. I'm pretty sure she's not going to see this program, so I'll give her a name. Jody Yazzie, matter of fact. And,
Why would you say the last name?
It
Don't say the
doesn't
last
matter.
name.
It doesn't matter.
They're gonna look her up. Watch.
Nah, nobody's gonna look her up. I can't even find her. I can't even find her. If they do, hey, give me the information. Nevertheless,
Do not hit us up on Facebook for that. Please do not.
so we dated. We got along great. I mean, we just hit it off. I mean, beautiful young whole girl. We have a good time. And she says, "Hey, my brother's coming to town." And I was like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, I want you to hang out with him." I was like, "Oh man, great." Hey, I had just bought some real nice, expensive shades, like $60 shades. I've always wanted. I call them Terminator glasses, and I wanted them, and I got them. And it's a Saturday. Go to her house. He's there. "Hey man, my name's so and so. Hey, how you doing? My name's Miguel. It's, oh man, you dated my sister. Okay, cool." And I was like, and I said, "Hey man, you want to go play pool? Have a drink." I'm 17 years old. She goes, "Yeah, let's go." Okay, we went to the Spanish bar called Arnie's from years back. And we get there, literally, the guy has one drink and starts wanting to fight everybody.
Ooh.
And I'm like, "Hey, dude." She's like, that mother effer's looking at me. I was like, "Dude, chill out."
It's not that
and when
serious.
when I reach into hey, chill out, he pushes me and says, "Hey, no, mother effer." And he starts verbally telling me off. I said, "Oh, heck no." I was like, "Dude, we got to go." He's like, "No, I don't know." I was like, "Dude, I'm out." And I got in my car. I took off. Went back to say, "Hey, man, your brother."
Back then you couldn't get an Uber, but you better start walking.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey, man, your brother went crazy on me." It was like that. He's like, "Did he drink?" I was like, "No." Like, he didn't drink. I was like, "Not even one." I was like, "Well, yeah, one." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, he can't drink." I was like, "One beer."
You couldn't have told us that.
Yeah, again.
That's information. Here's the
Yes.
thing: if you're inviting a family member out with your significant other or something, warn us. Tell us something that we probably need to know. That
Yeah.
being one of them.
Again, it's just like, all right. After that, we dated a little, started getting more serious. But you know what? I couldn't let that go. This guy's gonna be a part of the family, and not just like he's gonna be at the wedding. Yeah, I mean, all that started going through my mind. That's just the way I think. I project a lot of stuff. So I see stuff ahead.
As you
right off
should.
the bat. Oh, I'm gonna hit the mic, but and I decided just like to cut it out, walk away. Not because of her. She was wonderful, and
Because of her
some
family.
people might get pissed off about it. But you know what? I'm not gonna take my chances. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, if you see problems in the future because of a situation,
Dodgeable bullet.
why would you not take take necessary measures to
A lot of
to
people
avoid
don't.
that?
A lot of people don't. That's the problem with this. A lot of people don't. You think you would.
A lot of these are dodgeable bullets.
Yeah, if you fall in love with an individual, man, I'll tell you, hold back before you fall in love. Look at their family, because that's going to help you assess them.
Don't
But you
go in blind.
Yeah, you don't. You totally fall in love with this person. Then you meet the family. Then you're stuck.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fell
Love
for somebody.
does not
and now
conquer
you're
all.
touched.
Love does not conquer all. Just
It can, in certain situations, but not those.
not in a relationship.
There's certain situations that I could see love being conquering a lot of situations, but those are definitely not one of them. Go ahead.
I was attracted to my wife. She was a lovely cheerleader. The obvious reasons for a hormonal high schooler. And I got to tell you, it was dumb luck. We sit here and we say, gosh, you should look at this, you should look at that. And I think at myself, and mine was dumb luck. So I really certainly can't come across as thinking that looking at hindsight, yeah, I did okay, but it was dumb luck. It was a roll of dice, and God bless me.
You got handled the right opportunity at the right time.
I can't take credit for it.
Yeah.
I really can't. I wish I could. It's nice to give this advice and try to help other people, but don't for a minute think that
But
I knew it when I was.
Here's one
there.
thing that I do want to add to that. Your generation and your generation is completely different than mine and completely different than the one below us. Let's just clarify that real quick. We have to work 20 times harder for, a woman that's probably 40 or 50% worse than the ones y'all did. Because our society, and I hate saying this because it sounds so misogynist, sounds so hateful, but the society has created a standard in our generations for, being hoes is okay, going out and having a high body count ain't a big deal, and the feminist style movement. And there's nothing against women having rights, but at the same time, the women don't understand how much more of rights they have. So, they overreact, they overtake, and they try to exert themselves as the main runner of the house, the breadwinner, and all that stuff. And so that creates a harder situation for us men in my generation and the one below us. That it's hard to really get into that. It's hard to really just be with a woman in that situation because us men, we're still men, we're still practical, we're still simple, we still want love, we still want that genuine heartfelt emotion and that structure behind us. We want the woman to stand behind us and have our backs. And we don't mean stand behind us as they're below us or beneath us. We want them to have our backs because when we get stabbed with that knife, guess what? They're coming and they're
Pulling it
right
out.
behind us, putting the wound coverage over. They're taking care of us and they're making sure that we can step the next day to protect them from the next knife, or protect them from the next arrow, protect them from the next bullet. That's what we want. And the women nowadays don't like that mentality. They think because of, and I'm gonna blame social media. I'm gonna blame the steps that it's
I
taken.
blame
in
the
that.
parents. I blame the parents, but
So it's hard, and no offense to y'all, but it's also the parents a little bit too because they've
that's
allowed
what I just
they and that's why I said no offense to y'all because not every parent has done that. Not every parent has created that situation, but a lot of them have, and now we're as our generation, the generation below us, we're having to correct these problems. We're having to deal with the outcome of that because our parents weren't taught the same thing we were, and we weren't taught the same things our parents were. It's a completely different generational gap that is hard to create closure with, and that's why this situation right here, having these conversations with you and Frank, is detrimental, and that's why we need to have women on this program because man, we could really
Use their
solve that
insight, use their
problem and get
insight.
that maybe solve some real good problems in this world and really come together as one because that's what genuinely men and women really truly want at the end of the time. We want to be unified and we want to be together. We want to be understood.
Kelton, you brought up a good point, but you centered in on social media. What social media is actually is an exacerbation of media for my generation. Okay, we're talking about setting unreal standards, and for young
Absolutely.
ladies to be confused, and sometimes we blame the parents and things like that. I kind of have parents are a little bit stuck in their times. I was stuck
Absolutely.
in my time. My parents were stuck in their time, and they get a buy from me as far as normal relationships go. Okay, as long as you don't delve into the weird or the wrong, I think the generations are kind of the same in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
But when I mean, look at my generation. Ward, weren't you a little hard on the beaver? I mean, come on. Did you ever watch shows like that? I mean, they're still in
You're
black
a
and
little
white,
hard
but
on the
right?
beaver.
You see
Never
what we
done
had?
forever.
You want to talk about painting an unrealistic episode for America to look at? Here was the Beavers and the Brady Bunch and all this stuff like that, and there wasn't really all that realistic of a media model at that time either.
Yeah.
So yes, of course, back to the episode we're discussing, it is about the
I
parenting.
can see where you're coming from. It wasn't just social media. I can see that it's been a continuation of the same situation, just it's a lot more widely available on social media. And I guess that's why I can say I could blame social media for that.
It's far more prevalent.
Yeah.
Somehow back then we knew that, Ward being a little hard on the beaver wasn't really the end
Necessary.
of all things. I mean, or how these people lived and this perfectly coiffed hair and the perfectly everything works out. The car always starts and
Yep.
the home always looks beautiful.
And
that's
that
just
that comes
not really
back.
life.
That comes back to the thing that I always love to say: we don't know what we don't know, and sometimes we have to put ourselves in that situation to understand that.
Okay, so we kind of like took a left turn there because we were talking about people's
we
family.
did.
You got right back into the woman herself.
Hey,
because,
I'm sorry.
The woman is not what you want, and you move on. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about finding the right woman, but always have to examine the
Yeah, but
family
if
as well.
if you're following, finding the right woman, that's the hard part. And then the family, if you already have the woman, then the family is examined afterwards. You can't examine the family before you examine the woman.
If you do the 6-month thing, and I don't want to be a negative Nancy about it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a negative person. The cup is halfway full. That's the type of person I am.
Yeah.
But I also have learned throughout the years to just be aware.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Again, project, look at everything before you make a
Process
decision.
your
yeah.
data.
And that's not happening today. You know what I'm saying? It's not happening today at all.
Well, I think that we really hit a lot of things on the nail. We've got a lot more to discuss here.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a lot of information and a lot of different segues we can go with this.
Yeah, but again, we need to. Yeah, man, that's just so much. So much meat there. We want to go on and on and on, but I don't want to just keep.
Well,
going
how
on
about
and
how
on.
about this? Let's move on to let's go ahead and send this one out, and let's go ahead and continue on this, and
All
let's
right.
get some notes together, and
That sounds good.
Let's
That
make a
sounds good.
conversation about
Once
this.
again, I'd like to thank my friend Frank for the studio helping us out here. If you are interested in
Love having
creating an album to that effect, this is the man you need to talk to. Also, if you're
Absolutely.
interested in setting up your own podcast, Kelton can help with that, okay? We're going to offer our services there. Hey, enjoyed it, loved it, excited. Love you guys. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your comments. Hey, my name is Miguel Perez.
And I'm Kelton.
God bless you.
Frank, Godspeed.
Sorry, bro. I forgot to my Frank.
It's easy for you.
Got used to the deal. Y'all have a good one.